Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Thursday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from theuptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, things are fairly quiet. Stock index futures are currently trading above fair value. Dow futures currently up about 100 points. We've got commodities mixed with crude oil slightly higher, while gold is down so far in the pre-market. Now, today's going to be one of those days. We've got U.S. jobless claims coming out at 8:30, and then we've got the Fed announcement coming out this afternoon. And that could certainly cause some extra volatility in the market. Now, yesterday turned out to be a historic day for the markets, and I don't think the market was prepared for such a decisive win, not only for the presidency, but also the Senate and maybe even Congress. And I think most people were looking for a more drawn-out event. That's certainly not what happened, and so that left just about everyone on the wrong side of the trade, and we'll walk through that in this presentation. But the big winner yesterday was the regional banks and the U.S. banking sector and anything U.S. energy related. So we're talking deregulation across the board, and that's what got investors excited yesterday. Whether we can continue with this excitement, we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be rough jumping into the market on Thursday morning. You can see that the VIX dropped over 20% yesterday, so options traders weren't expecting this to happen. The U.S. dollar index moved up sharply yesterday, putting downward pressure on currencies around the world, including the Canadian dollar and the Mexican peso. So North American currencies went like that. European currencies went like this, and there's the euro down sharply. So we don't see that every day. So we've got currency traders on the wrong side of the trade. The price of gold, which was seeing some weakness going into yesterday, was down over $70. It's down a few more dollars in the pre-market this morning. Gold stocks on both sides of the border were already on a sell signal. So there's the GDX and the XGD. And silver was already on a sell signal coming into yesterday's trading action. So were silver miners, so no change there. Big reversal for the price of copper, and I'm not sure what the catalyst was for that. If the Trump economy is going to be booming, you'd think there'd be more construction and more need for copper, but that's not what happened. And copper miners had a big reversal. They ended Tuesday on a buy signal, came in on Wednesday sharply lower. It recovered a lot of its losses going into the close, but that is still back on a sell signal, making a lower low, which is bullish. Now, crude oil recovered quite a bit yesterday. What we were seeing in the pre-market is not what happened during the day. And of course, you get the energy inventories on Wednesday. We had an inside day for natural gas, still on a sell signal, no change there. Now, Canadian energy stocks ended the day back on a buy signal, while U.S. energy stocks ripped higher back up to the previous high. So we'll have to see if we can break through that. Then the most actively traded Canadian energy stock yesterday was Suncor, and in the U.S. it was Exxon. And you can see both of those moved up nicely and back on buy signals as of Wednesday's close. Now, bonds continued to move lower, which put upward pressure on bond yields. That's probably not a good thing going forward, but that's just the way it is. Maybe they're trying to put some more pressure on the Fed. Now, the Dow popped yesterday, huge move up, moved up 2 lines to the 437.50 level, closed at 437.23. So we'll have to see if we can break through that. You can see the next 2 targets to the upside there. What worked? Well, it was the financials. Both Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan were the big movers yesterday. What didn't work? Well, I guess nobody's going to be running in the Trump administration, because Nike was the biggest loser, followed by Home Depot, and then Procter & Gamble was down nearly 3% on the day. So all 3 of those stocks were already on sell signals going into yesterday's trading action. Looking at the S&P 500, we popped up to the next price target of 593.75. So, I wouldn't be surprising to see the S&P 500 want to trade up to the $600 level before leveling off here. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, what worked on the S&P 500 was similar to what worked on the Dow. A couple of financial stocks were the big winners. What didn't work? Well, Supermicro has been having a rough time over the past couple of weeks. It was the biggest loser on the S&P 500 yesterday, followed by Enphase, which rolled over, and then International Flavors, which was already on a sell signal going into yesterday's trading action. On the NASDAQ 100, we popped up 2 lines, and we're trying to get over 507.81. If we can do that, then 515 63 comes into play. Tesla was the big winner on the NASDAQ, and of course, it was the big winner in the pre-market. So gapping higher and making a new high for this move. Global Foundries was the next big winner, followed by Old Dominion Freight. What didn't work? Well, Dollar Tree was the big loser on the day, still on a sell signal, no change in trend there. American Electric Power rolled over yesterday, back on a sell signal. And then Mondelez, which was already on a sell signal going into yesterday's trading action. Now, looking at the TSX, so we were up over 1% on the TSX 60. What worked? It was Manulife was the big winner yesterday, back on a buy signal. We also have Shopify back on a buy signal. And then Canadian National Railway. Those were the three big winners on the TSX 60. Now, what didn't work? Well, Wheaton was the big loser, already on a sell signal, followed by Pembina, already on a sell signal, and then TELUS, already on a sell signal, making a new low for this move on Wednesday. Now, looking at the TSX itself, looking at the Vanguard Canada ETF, it was up just a little over 1% on the day. The big winner was Industrial Alliance, the insurance company, followed by TFI. And then we had Celestica making a new high for this move, already on a buy signal. What didn't work? Stella-Jones rolled over yesterday, down sharply on the day, over 14%. Then Tilray, a lot of the weed stocks rolled over yesterday. Some of the states in the U.S. that had weed on the agenda did not get positive results. And I think Florida was the big one that voted against legalizing weed. And then the next biggest loser on the TSX was Bird Construction, down nearly 9% on the day. So a big loss for that stock. Let's finish off this morning's presentation, take a look at the Magnificent 8, which is actually now Magnificent 9. There's the ETF itself popping yesterday. No joy for Apple. It actually ended the day lower, so no change there. Amazon moving higher, hitting our next price target of 206.25, 212.50 is the next one in place. Then we had Alphabet up on the day, no change in trend there. Now, Meta was actually lower on the day, still on a sell signal, no change there. Microsoft did move up yesterday, still on a sell signal. That would change on Thursday with a close above $422.38. Then we've got NVIDIA back on a buy signal as of yesterday's close, looking at 150 is our next target. And if we can break through that, then 156.25. We've got Shopify back on a buy signal on both sides of the border. Tesla, we already talked about. And Taiwan Semiconductor was down on the day, so no change in trend there. Things would change on Thursday with a close above $197.52. Okay, folks, that's all I wanted to cover in today's presentation. Yesterday will go down as a historic day in the market. It's also a great learning day for everyone, because you can see that, there are times when everybody can be wrong on the market. If you're going to jump into anything this morning, then use yesterday's low as your reason to get out of that trade. And over time, if the market wants to continue to push higher, then the right side channel lines will come up over the next few days. And once they start to move above yesterday's low, then you can switch from using yesterday's low as your exit strategy to using the right side channel line. So that could take a few days. Of course, today is a Fed day, so we're expecting some volatility in the afternoon. Could that volatility be enough to undo yesterday's big move up? I don't think so, but it could certainly stop it in its tracks. So it'll be interesting to see how the day ends. You have a wonderful day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Friday morning.